Remember, no man is a failure who has friends. Welcome to Primary Technology, the show about the tech news that matters. iOS 18.2 is now out for everyone, including some new countries like the UK and Canada. We're going to talk about visual intelligence and some more features. OpenAI has released Sora to the world, and I tried to generate some weird polar bears and medieval knights, so we're going to see what that can do. Plus, Google has a bunch of news, taking shots at Microsoft, might be working on some smart glasses, and a ton more. This episode is brought to you by 1Password, HelloFresh, and Audio Hijack, and of course by you, all the members who support us directly. I'm one of your hosts with a cold, Stephen Robles, and then my friend, Jason Ayton, is in the cold up in Michigan. How's it going, Jason?
Oh, it's actually gone down. It's 9 degrees now, Steven, outside.
9
It was
degrees.
10 when I walked to my office. This is the one disadvantage, I think I probably mentioned this last week, of having an office that's separate from the house, is I have to walk 35 yards to my office in the sno.
In the snow.
Uphill
both ways. There it is.
I mean, it actually kind of is because there is a little bit of... Anyway, that's fine.
Anyway, I'm nursing... I was afraid I would have no voice today because I had no voice, but now I have the welcome to 101.5 Radio FM. This is your morning drive. And I have tea for the first time. I don't know if you can see the cup.
Respect the beard.
It says respect the beard. So you'll be getting tea ASMR. I'm going to try and mute as much as I can, but you might hear a slurp. I can't promise you won't. But we're going to get through this. And I just want to say, if you don't subscribe to our bonus episodes, this is the week. One, because it's the holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. All of that. But also, I'm going to rant about the road trip I did last night with the Tesla. Because charging, Jason, and battery percentage. I wore my battery percentage off t-shirt today because this is how I felt my car was all day.
I wore my merch too. Thank you for calling that out because I wore this t-shirt last week and forgot to mention that I'm wearing it. So I am wearing one of our shirts today. And I should probably talk about the hat at some point.
Oh, yes. We should talk about because Jason got a percentage off hat.
Yes.
But anyway, before I forget, do you know what movie the quote was from?
Yeah. It's a Wonderful Life.
Very good, yeah, nailed it. And you're like binging all the Christmas movies this month.
Yes, we haven't watched that one yet, but we do watch a lot of Christmas movies.
You're gonna watch Die Hard. You're gonna watch. Lord of the Rings.
Kids are not going to watch that one with me.
Just use VidAngel.
But I just don't think they would care that much.
Sure.
It will really throw them off because we were just binging through. My kids don't get to watch this, but we were just binging our way through Friends, and we just a couple weeks ago passed the part where Rachel is dating Ross's girlfriend's dad, who is Bruce Willis in the show. So that would really be weird to them to then show them because if they've ever seen anything, it's just that, and they don't have a clue who Bruce Willis is, and then all of a sudden to see him in Die Hard, that'd be a weird way to be introduced to Bruce Willis.
That is a roundabout way. There's way better ways to be introduced.
Yes.
But we have some 5-star review shout-outs, some wrapped shout-outs, and then we're going to get to iOS 18.2. But I want to thank Kilted Baklava from the UK. That was a cool name. People's reviews now are basically like blog length on our Apple podcast, and I love it because they're
fantastic.
They're listing everything. So Kilted Baklava said battery percentage off. That's right. Pencil to volume buttons. So we're on the same page for both of those. Roundabouts, phone in dominant pocket. So we're all there. I think me and them are completely agreed. Anyway, they say great podcast. Kendall 601 said they don't usually write reviews, but they really love the show. Dots on. Thank you. I'm winning this round so far. Let's see if we got
I'm
two
pretty
more.
sure I actually win this entire thing. Just keep going.
Listen, people want more debates, so we have to figure out what other asinine preferences we have on Mac OS.
I do think we have become the most tribal podcast in tech right now.
I think so. We have the most divisive things.
Yes.
We'll talk about screensavers next. Os Bowie from the USA, dots on, that's right. Battery percentage on. Listen, nobody's perfect. And this was interesting. Apple Pencil pointed left because that's the way it looks correct. And I agree. But anyway, they say we're the best tech show. Thank you. And finally, Bat Colby from the USA. Very nice thing to say. Dots on, hiding off, magnification set to teeny tiny bit. Was there. Okay.
But the best part of that entire review was the reason that they subscribed.
Oh, that's right. What was it? I missed it.
It's the first sentence. It says, I've always listened because of Steven, but I truly subscribe because of Jason's affability. I won the whole thing. I won the podcast.
That's it. Someone has called you affable. You can now
Not
retire.
only that, they put their money behind it. Thank you.
That's very true. So thank you for that. And there were people sending screenshots of Primary Tech in they're wrapped. So this is an Overcast wrapped we made Primary Tech. This is Matt Winship on Blue Sky. 47 hours of Primary Technology subscriber edition. So they're supporters, so thank you for that.
You have missed a couple episodes there, Matt. So there's some stuff for you to listen to over the holidays.
That's right. You can catch up, listen to all the bonus episodes. In great company there next to ATP, Upgrade, and the talk show.
Yeah.
And then this is Corey Nelson on X. We're number 4 in there. I believe that's Spotify Wrapped.
Okay.
So that's very cool. I don't know what number 2 is. A hot dog is a sandwich. We're not going to start. We can't start that debate. And also, Groby Picks on Threads. We're up there in this top 4 as well. So thank you for sharing all of that. Now, 18.2 finally came out. I'm mid-update because I had to do a road trip yesterday. So I'm like, my phone is updated, my iPad, but my Mac, I haven't done that. But iOS 18.2 is out. Apple Intelligence is now in localized English for things like the UK, Canada, South Africa. So you can available in more countries, quote unquote, if you didn't want to change your language before. And in next year, Apple says it will come to more languages in more countries. There are some updates for things besides Visual Intelligence and Apple Intelligence. So there are some things. One, which I didn't even know was coming, was the natural language search in music and TV. So you can go to like the TV app or Apple Music. I'll go with the TV. And you can search for something like comedy with Julia Roberts and Cameron Diaz. And that kind of search will actually bring you to My Best Friend's Wedding. So you can actually kind of do a, who was in that movie? I remember this actor, but I don't remember the movie name. Now you can kind of do that natural language search in a TV and music. And for music, you can ask it things like electronic without words or classical with words or whatever, or singing, choir. That kind of stuff.
Those are none of those things actually exist, but that's fine.
you know what I mean. But I actually played around a lot with Visual Intelligence because I wanted to know, like, I tried this early in the betas, and most of the time it was just doing ChatGPT searches or Google reverse image searches. And I actually found Visual Intelligence to be upgraded. So I have the video here. I'll link my video down in the show notes. But I found that if you're at a business, like I went to a Starbucks here, and you do Visual Intelligence, which is only iPhone 16, you hold the camera control. Now you actually get basically the Apple Maps info. So if there's Apple Maps info, even things like menu, order, things like that, you'll see it in the Visual Intelligence screen, which is still kind of this weird place that's like not the camera, but it is a camera. You have to treat it like a camera. It's a little weird. But you can do things like jump to order. Sometimes that goes over to Yelp. Sometimes it'll go to the business's website. Basically, whatever it would do in Apple Maps, it would do in Visual Intelligence. Those are the options it's giving you. But there's actually way more stuff that Visual Intelligence can do. It can do things like recognize dates, which is like what they showed in the keynote. So if you have a concert poster, I actually used a program here for my wife's orchestra. It'll pull the dates and allow you to add the date to the calendar. Wasn't super smart, like it didn't pull like the title of the concert or anything, but that's fine. But you could also do things like if you have an address, a phone number, and website all on a business card, you can use Visual Intelligence and you actually get the options to call, navigate, or visit the website. So that's cool. But also the summarize feature, which this is, I think, one of the more like expedited use cases before if you wanted to get like OCR text by taking a picture of some stuff. It was a few steps in before you could get to a summary. But now with Visual Intelligence, you can literally just point it at like a book page. That's what I did here. And summarize text is actually just one of the options. So you could take a picture of a book page and tap summarize and actually get a summary of a single page. You would have to literally do that for every page if you were trying to do it. But if there's like a magazine article or something like that, you can get the summary, which is kind of cool. And it also will recognize like multiple websites and things like that. It doesn't recognize .fm domains for some reason. So I took a picture of the business card with mots.fm and it did not like bring that up as an option to tap. And notably, there's a lot of things that the lookup feature in Photos can do that Visual Intelligence can't. For instance, art recognition, Visual Intelligence will make you look it up with ChatGPT or Google image search. But if you take a picture of art and you look in Photos, you can tap the little eye icon for lookup and you'll get the name of the artwork. So Apple is doing this in Photos, but for some reason is not bringing it to Visual Intelligence just yet. Same with plant identification and animal identification. If you do Visual Intelligence, you basically have to send it to ChatGPT or Google image search, But if you just take a regular picture of it, the lookup feature in Photos will tell you what it is. So, and even like the laundry tag thing, Photos will tell you what a laundry tag means, but Visual Intelligence will not.
Yeah.
Which is a little ironic.
Yeah.
But
it is weird.
Yeah. Have you played around with it at all? I mean, I don't know. There's not really a ton of use cases. But
I mean, I've used it some. I still feel like it's not the thing we want. It's not the thing they showed us in the keynote either. It's not like pointed at the dog. The whole thing is seamless. It pops up and shows you what the dog. Like it's still more like you can point it at a thing and you can sort of like. You then have to tell it, do I want to ask something or do I want to search something? It's like, and it also is weird. This is very similar to the Easter egg rant that we went on about the podcast memberships. It's like Apple is doing two things that to us seem like they should be the same, but they are obviously being developed completely independently because the fact that Photos is so much better at giving you this information than when I'm using what is supposed to be an AI powered, lookup tool.
Right.
I just don't understand that. There's something weird happening there.
It is weird. I did ask like, hey, all these amazing lookup features in Photos, is that coming? And they were like, we have nothing to say this time. So, they're not going to say anything. But I imagine more will come. Like Visual Intelligence in the very first beta did almost nothing. Like it would just tell you to do ChatGPT or Google Image. So I think they're adding features, but it still has a ways to go.
Don't you think it's going to be really disappointing, though, if the most useful parts of Apple Intelligence are just a different skinned user interface to get to ChatGPT?
Well, we're going to get to that because, yeah. Before we get to the ChatGPT integration, another non-Apple Intelligence feature is the two-stage camera control. So if you have an iPhone 16, you can now set it to light press, autofocus, auto exposure, lock, and then take the picture. Now, you were all about camera control recently. Are you still using it regularly?
Yeah, all the time. And by the way, small update, just so you know, I have stopped using the back for now. The real reason is I just keep janking it up every time I drop the phone. It's getting kind of bad. But
yes.
But the real reason was the camera control button is super hard to find on the side of the phone. It is just not intuitive to find it. And the number of times I would be trying to take a photo and I'm just like pressing really hard against the titanium side. And I'm like, why won't you do anything? So I have switched to the Nomad case that has the cutout. And I don't love the cutout, but it makes it real easy to know exactly where. Sorry, I'm updating my phone to 18.2 right now as we speak. And I've noticed that they made it so that one side of this case gives a little bit so that you can push it down pretty reliably. But I really like the back, but not only is it getting kind of ugly because I keep dropping it, but also I use the camera control all the time, probably 30 times a day. And I probably try to use it 70 times a day, and 40 of those times I'm just pressing against the titanium phone.
I will say I was looking for my Nomad leather back because I also stopped using it. I really liked how it felt, but it got messed up, and like with a lot of other leather cases, which I recently did a leather case review. Like I have a lot. Like this is why I can't find I have stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
But usually with a leather case, you can if you scratch it, you can kind of like rub it, and because it's real leather, the scratches will kind of fade or go away. And I found with the Nomad, I don't know if it's because it's so thin or there's not enough leather on it, I couldn't rub the scratches out. And it doesn't look like a patina, it just looks like a scratch. So I stopped using the Nomad one. I'm still using I'm using the Suti, which is not a leather back, but it's the gray one, and I do like it.
Okay.
But the Nomad one, I will say, does the best at like guiding your finger to camera control.
Yeah.
Like it has a nice trough.
It's really nice.
It's nice. Case makers still need to do the button, like Apple silicone case. Like do a button on the button, I think, because like Apple silicone, which is like right here, you have the capacitive button on the button, which I think is the best experience. Hey, is that silicone?
But I feel like it's still hard to know. But I guess it does feel a little bit different, at least on the case. This is the worst podcast ever. I'm just sitting here like running my finger across the side of this thing.
Like a lamp.
It's like a fidget toy is what it is. I'm just like sitting here fidgeting with it. Anyway, but I feel like
Williams come out.
Yeah, I feel like even that is not. Again, I've changed my mind about the cutout. I actually think it's a better experience because you know exactly where to put your finger.
Okay. Now, but with two-stage camera control, you've been on the betas.
I do not use two-stage camera control.
Okay, that's what I was going to... Because that was my thing, is like pressing the camera control button is pretty consistent, pretty easy. But I found trying to do the light press to autofocus nearly impossible to get it done, like when I want it.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And you can adjust the sensitivity a little bit, but not enough. And I don't know, like if you have a real mirrorless or DSLR camera, that half shutter press is so clearly half press. Mm-hmm. And then you can press further, take the picture. The camera control is just not enough. I almost wonder if like the half press could then start a small vibration that's just kind of like constant to know you're in like focus mode, and then press it all the way down just to know, like, have I activated it? Because honestly, I had to look at the screen to know, did I lock the focus or not? Like I could not tell by my finger touching. I had to look at the screen to see whether or not it was locked. And I feel like that kind of defeats the purpose. Hopefully a feel will let you know. But anyway.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah, please.
Photographers do not use half press to focus.
If you tell me you only manual focus, we're going to...
No, use back button focus. 100% of the time. Back button focus all the time. You just, the little AF on button, you use that to focus, lock your focus in, and then you hit the shutter. None of this, when I hit the shutter, I want it to do the thing a shutter is supposed to do, and which is funny because, like, half camears now, there's not even a shutter. But you get, like, it's electronic. Yeah, I want it to take a picture. I don't want it to be I don't want it to, like, decide how much did I nope, if you push that thing. Right. So the first thing I do every time I buy a camera is I set focus to the back button. Yep. I
like that. I might have to try. Well, I never take my camera off the tripod here, but
also you don't take still photos very often.
No, I don't. But I mean, raw. Well, we're gonna get to the Apple Wars later, but anyway. Okay, last couple things for iOS 18.2. ChatGPT integration is the other huge feature, which you can now log into your ChatGPT Plus account, or you don't have to log in. You can just use the ChatGPT features. You'll just have that limit, if you're on like the free plan or you're not logged in. And basically, whenever you ask the voice assistant something on your iPhone, iPad, or Mac, if it can't do it, it will go out to ChatGPT. By default, it asks you every time, like, do you really want to send this to ChatGPT? But you can actually disable that. There's the toggle in settings that says confirm ChatGPT requests. Toggle that off, and then it will just go to ChatGPT automatically. And you don't have to confirm it every time. So I highly recommend that. And then the hack is, and I think we talked about this in the last episode, and I haven't heard this other places, but you can basically start every request by saying, using ChatGPT, and then ask it whatever, and the voice assistant will just use ChatGPT for whatever the request, even if it's like general knowledge. So I'll say, if you hold the side button, activate the dingus, and say, what's the average rainfall in the Amazon basin? It'll tell you from its knowledge. But then if you do it again and say, using ChatGPT, what's the average rainfall in the Amazon basin? It will use ChatGPT to answer the question. So you can actually preface your requests with using ChatGPT and just default to that all the time. And that means you can also create images that way because, the dingus doesn't create images. It'll just do an image search. But you can ask the voice assistant, using ChatGPT, create an image of such and such, and it will generate the image right there using the voice assistant. So it's just a little hack for you. I don't know why I'm obsessed with polar bears and medieval knights. We're going to show more of that during the Sora section. But yeah, have you noticed any difference there or any useful features?
I use ChatGPT all the time. We'll talk about that later. But
yes,
it feels like a letdown to me that the best feature of Apple Intelligence at this point is sending things from Siri to ChatGPT. Because I'm like, if that's what I wanted to do, like I got an app for that, and the app is actually pretty darn good, and I don't need to do. I guess it's technically a little bit faster to just long press the side button and just say something, and then, but then you have to wait for it to decide. Oops, I got to send this to Chat. And I know you just gave us a pro tip that's great, but it still takes longer for it to do that sort of thing. I don't know. I wanted to listen. They promised us that I could just say, when is the thing with the person and where do I go? Like they made these promises, and that is the thing that people are looking for. And they haven't even made actual dingus smarter yet. It's just, it's not. It's just, it's so bad still.
If we did funny titles, it would be Actual Dingus. Still dumb. Actual Dingus. It is going to be one of those, I forget what other feature this was, but there's been a couple times where Apple will announce a feature at WWDC, and we actually don't get it until the next WWDC or even later.
Yeah.
And I think the semantic index, which is what that was the term Apple used for dingus being able to look at your photos and text messages and emails and bring all that information together. I don't think we're going to see the semantic index until next. I mean, obviously 2025, but I think even closer to dub.
Well, isn't
If
Mark
it-
Gurman's report like not until like either the end of next year or the beginning of 2026? Like I think he said like the good series not coming for a long time, and that is a huge letdown. Like because I'm seriously I'll save it. The bar is a lot higher than I think Apple thinks it is. Instead, they're making image playgrounds, which is like garbage.
I was going to.
It is so bad.
Okay, so the other two things. I don't think we were going to talk about 18.2. That's like what it was.
I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault. The image wand tool is also there, which only works in Notes right now. I really thought they were going to update Pages and Keynote to include this, and they haven't yet. But you can basically circle a word that you've handwritten or select text in Apple Notes and basically ask it to generate an image from it. Like, it's fine, whatever. But then, like, yes, image playgrounds. Terrifying images. But I've been wanting to, like, just post on social media, like, here's what Apple Intelligence is doing, and then just post a Sora video and be like, this is what OpenAI is doing. And, like, and I understand Apple is not an AI company. Like, I guess maybe there's a distinction there where OpenAI is like solely focusing on these large language models, and that's what's underpinning Sora and everything. But also, like, this is Apple, the biggest company in the world, and to see like here's image playgrounds, and then Sora, like if you just put it side by side, like it is a stark difference. What they can do.
Yeah, and I know they've put so many guardrails on it because the last thing Apple wants to do is like be responsible for deep fakes and stuff like that. I get it. I understand all those things. Then just don't even do it, because this, honestly, it just makes the whole thing like, it just looks so bad, and it's just, I just don't understand. Like, I don't know. Like Genmoji, great. That's so fun. Like that's fine. It has a reason for existing. But the image playgrounds and stuff. And do you think the reason that it's only available in Notes is because they're like I just thought of this as you were saying that they're intentionally limiting the resources that are required to do it, because if they just put it everywhere, people might actually do, like the image one thing, that people might do it more. And I mean, that's all compute. So I don't know.
That's true. I know people were saying when they updated to 18.2 yesterday, their devices got hot. And that's something we all experienced with the betas. Like, oh, shoot. And if you try to do image playgrounds or Genmoji, like your phone starts cooking. Yeah. It is like, it gets very hot. But, I mean, I know this stuff will improve over time. It does feel like Apple Intelligence, I don't really, day-to-day use. Well, we keep trying to get to it, but we're going to save it for the personal tech segment, because you said, what AIs are we actually using? And we should include Apple Intelligence in that question. So we're going to answer that in our personal tech segment. No, we're teasing it. I'm not going to talk about it. But we have so much more to talk about, because Sora, I've been playing around with Sora, and it's just, you got some crazy looking stuff. But before we do, we're going to thank a couple friends. Our first friend, HelloFresh. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit, shipping you seasonal recipes, pre-portioned ingredients, farm fresh food, all right to your doorstep, and it's super fun to make. We've done HelloFresh with the kids. Jason's doing HelloFresh, and it's just so much more convenient than going to the grocery store and literally trying to fight medieval knights on polar bears for your groceries. I think that's actually how it is right now during the holidays.
It is.
But I wouldn't know, because I either get it HelloFresh or delivered. No, I'm just kidding. I go to Publix and I fight everybody. And because we're in the holidays, listen, everybody's busy. Everybody's looking for ways to stress less. Absolutely. And HelloFresh makes mealtime manageable, saving you from searching for recipes for all that grocery shopping. Just pick your meals on the website, and everything is delivered right to your door. Plus, things are customizable, so you get 50 chef-crafted recipes to choose from every week, plus customized options to make your meals just the way you like them. You know, they have vegan, vegetarian, you can do things like keto, and there's 100 add-on items like quick breakfast, packable snacks, beverages, and more. Jason, tell me, what has been a recent meal that you have cooked?
We did the Mushu pork bowls, which are really good. Yes. Like, I didn't know what that was, just to be honest. But it was, like, surprisingly good. And it was very easy to make. Like, I can handle, like, putting things in a pan and putting all the ingredients together. But when it was done, it looked like a thing that someone else had made for us. Let's just put it that way.
When I do HelloFresh, I'm always surprised. Like, yes, I can cook. I might struggle to cut an onion. That's a movie on the side. But
that was good.
But I can cook HelloFresh, and their website right now has these everything bagels that are always tempting me. They look very good. So here's what you do: you can get 10 free meals at hellofresh.com/freeprimary, and that's applied across 7 boxes. New subscribers only, varies by plan. But that's 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/free primary, and that link is in the show notes. You can just click it there. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. And we also want to thank America's #1 way to secure your company's IT devices and apps. I don't know how that transition went, but I think 1Password will appreciate it.
You don't want bad guys eating your lunch.
Oh, you got it. That was the tagline. That's free. 1Password can just run with it. You don't even need to pay us as your marketing team. Just go for it. But 1Password extended access management. Listen, I've worked in places where there's lots of restrictions on devices, whether it's mobile devices, you got mobile device managers, and people don't like those kind of restrictions, and they end up trying to figure things out for themselves. They'll download random apps, VPNs, anything to get around the security because they just want to use their devices the way they want to use them. But that's when the trouble starts. And people can have unmanaged devices, shadow IT apps, non-employee identities, things like that. And most security tools only work when everybody follows the rules. And listen, people, especially if you're driving around the holidays, people don't follow the rules. So what you need is 1Password Extended Access Management. It's the first security solution that brings all these unmanaged devices, apps, and identities under your control. And it ensures that every user credential is strong, protected, every device is known and healthy, and every app is visible. 1Password Extended Access Management solves the problems traditional mobile device managers can't. It's security for the way we work today. And it's now generally available to companies with Okta, Microsoft, Entra, and in beta for Google Workspace customers. So what you do is go to 1Password, the number 1, password.com/primarytech. And you can learn more about 1Password Extended Access Management, or just click in the show notes. If you run the IT at your company or know the person who does, or don't tell on people, but maybe people like, listen, I think people are getting around the security, I think. I'm just saying. It's not me, but other people. Let your IT team know, and this is the tool they should use, 1password.com/primarytech. Have you generated any wild videos with Sora just yet?
I only generated one, and then I realized that you're limited to 5 seconds. Well, yes. Unless you're paying the $200 a month, and then you're limited to 20 seconds. You can pay $200 a month, and you still only get 20-second videos. This is a parlor trick, Steven.
Later in the notes, we were going to talk about 1Password or OpenAI ChatGPT Pro, whatever that gets called. $200 a month.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. But my point is, you get 20 seconds. I have a lot of thoughts about Sora, but no, I made one video. And it was great. It was exactly what I expected it to be. Yeah. But it is. I don't understand. Like, what is the point of this?
So MKBHD had his video, as per usual. He's been like, I've been using this for about a week now. And he opened the video with a bunch of clips, basically saying, can you tell what's AI and what's actual footage? And I did pretty good on the test. I'll link his video down in the show notes if you want to see if you could tell which is which. It is obvious in some places. Some places it's harder. Then he talks about the things that are bad about it, and it's all the things you would expect, like this crazy clip of cars like disappearing into each other, weird animals doing weird things, and it's just bizarre things can happen with Sora. But I've been playing around with it. Here's my Sora account, and so here's my medieval knight riding a polar bear. Anytime there's exaggerated movements, like if you watch the sword on the left, he kind of chops his own head off, and somehow still survives.
Slightly problematic.
I don't know, maybe he's Highlander. I don't know. But when he's just sitting on the polar bear, that looks kind of cool. That looks pretty real. The fur on the bear looks very good. I tried generating an image of the knight charging with the bear. Less good. It looks a little weird once you get to that. Then I generated, give me a podcast conversation. And I was pretty impressed with this. The dude looks real. It looks like he's doing a remote interview using Riverside.fm on the laptop. That looks pretty good. And then you can also do things like remix stuff. And so you can, once a video is generated, you can, add more to the prompt to have it do more things. And for some reason, this one on the right now has the sword coming out of the bear's nose.
That is a scary bear.
That's a war bear. That'll be the name of our first motion picture. War bear.
Yeah.
Medieval knight. So, it is. Well, there's lots of ramifications we probably need to talk about this being available to the public. If you didn't already have an OpenAI account, they're limiting account creation, so you can't just jump in there and try it. But if you were a ChatGPT Plus subscriber before, you can get in there and start generating some stuff. You can also see like things other people have generated in the features tab. There's some wild things there. I mean, some of the stuff is genuinely impressive. And one of the things that MKBHD did is he like generated like a news reel and made it look like it was CCTV footage along with like newscasters, and he posted it on X. I was trying to find it here in his video, but I don't think he found it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and one other thing, and I want to get your thoughts. He asked Sora to generate a tech review, like a YouTuber tech review. And so Sora generated this video. This is generated, but this plant that's on the desk that Sora put in the video, MKBHD is like, now wait a minute. That's my plant. Like he's holding the plant now in the video. Like that's a video he has used in a plant he has used in his videos. And it's like, okay, that was trained.
I wonder what you trained on.
Yeah, obviously the biggest tech YouTuber in the space.
That's amazing.
There's many feelings to feel about this. I am slightly nervous about like deep fakes and people. Like I already had a situation the other day. I don't know if I told you about this, where I had a close family relative tell me something outlandish, like we're not talking about Elon, but they said to me, "Did you hear that Elon bought Ford? Elon Musk acquired Ford." And I was like, "I'm pretty sure that's not true, but I'll look it up. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt." I looked it up, and apparently there was a video that was released back in June or July that someone had basically cut together a bunch of Elon interviews, put some Ford footage over it, and actually made it seem like Elon was acquiring Ford. And if you watch this video, it just sounds like it. That was done just with like pulling clips from different interviews, and it was enough to fool people. Back then it fooled a bunch of people, and apparently 6 months later it fooled someone as well. And it's like, now, I don't know, is it going to be even harder to tell people like, actually this is not real? Like, look closely at the hands. I don't know. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I don't know how we solve that problem. That's the other thing about the video is I don't really understand what. So I'm assuming you've seen the Coke ad, right? The Coca-Cola holiday ad that was made by Magic AI.
Yes.
Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't get what. And I think in Coke's case, the reason they did it is because you could do it with AI. Like, it's not like they're not like they still paid someone to make that. They paid someone to make it with AI or whatever.
Right.
And that's fine. And I mean, what they made was a very specific thing. It's not like you could not just get that out of Sora because like the prompt would, and also it's only like 5 seconds long. You only get 5 seconds long. I don't think the world is ready for this. I don't think the world is ready for what happens when you want to spread misinformation and now you can generate a video that is that. Now, like, and I don't care how hard they try to like lock these things down, someone will figure out ways to do things. And what's crazy about it is, I saw the video from MKBHD of the newscast. It was very obviously fake. That's fine. And one of the telltale signs is like text is still gibberish in these videos, right? They can't put words together. I remember trying to like tell ChatGPT early on, make me a map of something, like show me a map, whatever, and you'd be like, and put these locations on the map, and even if you gave it words and spelled them, they just turn out as gibberish in the image. Gibberish, yeah. It just can't. Yeah. So like that's good. Don't fix that. Leave it like make that problem always exist so that we'll know right. And require text in every video. I guess I don't know, but I feel like it's just we're not prepared for what's going to happen, and also I don't think it's going to be a good thing that now, like, because people are so predisposed to believe certain things. Like, so for example, I have no idea who told you that Elon bought Ford, but someone heard that. Lots of people heard that, and it fit some worldview that they had. And if there's a video that supports that, they don't look critically at what's happening.
Right. The confirmation bias is real.
Yeah.
And now, like, people being able to generate it. And now OpenAI is watermarking any video you generate with Sora with this tiny little squiggly line at the bottom right that turns into an OpenAI logo. So I'll just show you real quick. But this is going back to the examples that OpenAI is showing. Like you can see in the bottom right corner, it looks like little lines at first. I thought it was a mistake in the video. The first couple times I generated something, I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
Because it was hard to see because I had a polar bear and it was snowy and you could barely see the watermark. But it is there. It turns into an OpenAI logo. But also you can just crop it out. I mean, you can literally just
Right.
pull this into Premiere or Final Cut and crop the video, and there's no watermark. Like, there's nothing stopping people from doing that.
Yeah.
So, and again, there's some videos that are really convincing. Like, if you ever wanted footage of ocean waves against a mountain or cliffside, it's great at that stuff for some reason. Like, it's great at water physics for some reason. Humans less so. But it's not horrible. That's the thing. Like, some of these videos of like actual people, it's convincing until you get
sending
to the
you the
hands.
one I did.
All right, here's Jason's Sora video. More snow because he lives in Michigan.
Yep. This is basically my morning commute right here.
It doesn't look like you, but yeah.
It's
Okay.
totally my morning commute. That's every morning me.
In the forest, snow. Like, not bad.
Mhm.
Not bad.
The
physics
prompt
look-
was a 10-year-old girl walking through a wintry forest with snow at dawn. Like, that's exactly what that is.
That is exactly what that is. The physics aren't bad. It looks pretty natural. Like, I feel like you could throw a clip or two in another video with similar clips, and people would be hard pressed to like tell the difference,
Right.
like to spot it. Like, if you watched an hour-long video and there was like 3 AI clips in it, and they were really good, I feel like people wouldn't know. And that's a different kind of world we're in now.
Well, the other thing I noticed was because I just made another one, and I found that was like you put in a prompt, and then it titles your video based
Right.
on what your prompt was, and it actually does. That's like really like so. The one I sent you, I told you what the prompt was. The title was Winter Wonderland Stroll. I just made a second one, although this is gonna crash. I made a coastal road adventure. I put a camper van traveling along a winding road next to the ocean, and it is driving dead smack down the middle of this road, and it is about to have a head-on collision with another car, and then it stops. It's a cliffhanger, literally.
Literally a cliffhanger. That's hilarious. Yeah, my titles were Knight's Courageous Charge, Knight's Polar Bear Charge. Listen, we have to talk offline about this, but I would like our brand to just now be a polar bear with a medieval knight riding it. That has nothing to do with tech, but Jason's
we can
unconvinced.
work on this.
We'll work on it.
I'm not convinced, but I'm not convinced.
Okay, very good. Last OpenAI thing, during their 12 days of shipmiss, which Sora was one day, they used the Apple Intelligence iOS 18.2 launch as another day of their shipmiss, which is like, did you ship anything that day? I think Apple shipped something that day. But anyway, but one of the first days, which was last Friday, the day after we recorded the last episode, they announced their ChatGPT Pro subscription for $200. That basically gets you a slightly better reasoning model and longer videos in Sora. $200 a month, Jason. Did you sign up immediately?
I haven't even signed up for the Verge yet, and I'm supposed to. I need to
What are you
do that.
doing?
But no, I did not sign up for it immediately. I don't know. I know there are people that will pay $200 a month. I think Ben Thompson from Checker said they're like, this is perfect for him. I don't understand $200. I mean, it's one thing I get this. Okay. The people who are going to do this are the people who can expense it to like their work, right? Like that totally makes sense. It's the
Sure.
same people who pay for the information or Bloomberg, right?
Right.
I actually was just listening to a conversation with is it Helen Half, like the publisher of The Verge, who was talking about how they came up with the pricing for their subscription. This is why
Yes.
that was on my mind. And they're like, well, we realize that, our readers are people who are paying for this themselves, not people who can expense it to work. And it occurs to me, like, that's why the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg and the information are so expensive. They don't actually think that they're that valuable. There's just this built-in cushion of margin just because they know that it's going to get expensed to work. And I think the same thing has to be true with this.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I agree. So you get access to ChatGPT 01 Pro, which is the new reasoning model. But man, $200 a month. I mean, I've used ChatGPT 01 a couple times just to ask it random questions, and I'm like, I would not pay for more of that. I mean, I guess if you have a work thing that would benefit, but nah, I'm good. I'll stick with my $20 a month ChatGPT Plus, because we're going to talk about in our personal tech what AIs we actually use, and I do use mine actually. Also, Google, a bunch of news about Google this week, but they released the auto dubbing feature now for YouTube. For some creators and channels with knowledge-focused content, YouTube will now auto dub if you check this box, meaning auto dub your video in other languages automatically, so people watching your videos can literally click English, Spanish, Japanese, French, whatever, and watch it in a different voice. Now, I actually got an email about my personal channel that this feature is coming, if not already on it. I have to actually upload a new video, I think, in order to see it. But I'm going to do this. I've actually wanted this feature for a while because they announced it months ago, almost last year, I think. They announced the ability that you'd be able to upload other audio tracks to a single video, and that didn't come out until just now. And now YouTube's like, well, we're just going to do it for you. And I'm about it. I'm going to try to do it. Previously, huge creators like Mr. Beast or whatever, they would create multiple channels for different languages. So there'd be like Mr. Beast in Espanol, Mr. Beast Japanese, Russian he did. And so now the idea is you can just have one channel that reaches multiple languages. And I'm about it. So I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I think they started talking about this, not with YouTube specifically, but at Google I/O, not this past summer, but the summer before. Because I remember sitting there and they were explaining, like, you can have a video and it will automatically not just translate it, because like that's not an easy thing, but that's a thing where it's a lot more simple to just have the captions, for example, be in closed captions in a different language, right? You can do that on your Apple TV. That stuff's not hard. But this like mimics the voice of a human, and it's like voice over in a different language. That's feels like a pretty big deal. And you just described like Mr. Beast having all these channels. But for monetization, if you're not Mr. Beast and you don't have 200 million followers, subscribers, whatever, it's a big deal because you don't necessarily want to segment your followers. You want them all in one place because that makes your reach much more valuable. So being able to have your Spanish, viewers or Japanese or whatever the other, German, French, having those all in one place makes you more appealing to advertisers, which makes it easier to monetize and to actually make a living at this.
Yeah. So I'm excited to do it. I mean, Mr. Beast, he had talked about his process before, and like he would literally hire a voiceover artist for that other language. He would have someone translate the script manually. So I'm sure it was an expensive process for him, and just not sustainable or doable for many solo creators. Like what I actually tried to do was 11 Labs, which is an AI voice tool. I actually could train it on my voice in English, and I can give it a Spanish translation. So what I would do is get a transcript from my video, translate it to Spanish using whatever, Google Translate or whatever, and then give that text to 11 Labs, and they could generate my voice speaking Spanish for the video. And I could do that. Like I had already done that, but YouTube didn't allow you to upload a separate audio track to your video. Like they would let you do captions in another language, and you can upload that, but not audio. And I think it's because they were waiting because they wanted to do it themselves rather than you like uploading someone else's stuff. Yeah. So it's interesting. Watch for my next videos. My next Shortcuts video might be dubbed in multiple languages. We'll see, but I'm going to try it. But Google had a bunch of stuff going on. Before we do, because this is not a break, but I want you to talk about Google taking shots at Microsoft. I saw this post on Blue Sky, which I feel like for all that we've talked about in recent years or in recent months, like this is very apropos. This is like Googling stuff then versus now. Googling stuff back then, search results, the thing you want. Googling stuff now, search results. AI taking a wild stab at it with some blatant misinformation. Sponsored results, sponsored results, sponsored results, sponsored result. People also ask, view products, and then like the thing you want off the screen.
Yeah.
All the way down.
That's exactly right.
It is exactly right. This, I'll put it in the podcast artwork too, so you can see this if you're listening in your podcast app. But this is 100% accurate. This is the history of Google. This was like 15, 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago.
It was like 4 years ago.
Yeah,
that
was
is still
true. It was like 4 or 5 years ago, and now it is wild. I just don't. It doesn't push me to use ChatGPT web search just yet. I don't know why. I'm still trying Google and being frustrated and just resolving to read the AI overview and be like, I guess it's true. That's fine. We'll just take that as fact. But
don't do that, Stephen.
I know. I know. Not for important things, but for other things, it's like, I don't know. There was a question about, I forget what it was, and I was just like, what, this AI overview might just be good enough.
Well, Google is only good at this point to find a thing you already know. You just don't remember like where it was, or to find like a website or a piece of information, and you just need to sort of like have the signpost point in the right direction. It is not good for discovering information that you don't know. It has become horrible. I just think we don't have time for all of that, but the problem with what you just showed is that it just shows you how, when I say that, I mean the graphic about how different Googling is, that the incentives are just completely misaligned between Google making money and human beings who are using Google to find things. Right. Because Google makes money from all of those things that are before what you actually want. And it is so, in my mind, problematic that someone is like, their KPI at Google is like engagement and clicking on things. And so they just keep stuffing stuff in there, and and they are like, well, look, we got more conversions on this. It's like, of course, if you do more things, you will get more conversions, but it doesn't make people happier. It's just, It's such a mess.
I do find, because it pushes products so hard, that if I want to price check something, I will Google search it, because I know it's going to show me product results at the top and show me all the different like where I can get it, B&H or Amazon. So I actually will use it to price check things. But yeah, the general knowledge stuff is just getting worse and worse. But supposedly, and I'm going to swap these around and then lead into your article talking about Google taking shots at Microsoft, because Google also introduced Gemini 2.0, a new model. This is supposedly even better. This new model is going to start powering the AI overviews early next year during your Google search, so maybe those will get better. But Gemini 2.0 is also multimodal, which means it can move between like audio, visual, text, and it can do all those different modes within the same kind of conversation or request. And Google's bragging, like, this is like an amazing new model, supposedly. And my Android phone actually started listening because I said Google. Now I can't say Google or the other word. Anyway, so you got Gemini 2.0 launched. Google also revealed that they had a breakthrough in like quantum computing. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with this, but like the superposition of quantum computing, where a chip can be both on and off at the same time. I just love that. It almost sounds like a sci-fi thing. So I don't know. I just wanted to mention that.
Well, it's like the qubits. Yeah. And not just can they be positive or negative or 1 or 0. They can be any combination of the two things at the same time.
Right.
Here's read that deck. It says that the computer solved the problem in 5 minutes that would take a supercomputer 10 septillion years to complete. This is like, of the two things, Gemini versus this, like, I think this is actually the more significant breakthrough in the long run. And it's kind of mind blowing, but it's also terrifying. It's going to, like, quantum computing is going to be the sort of thing that is able to solve problems that just have not been solvable by now. Right. And at the same time, well, it's like imagine if they would have had this in Interstellar. They could have solved the problem of gravity so much easier, right? No, but at the same time, we've already heard Apple talking about building encryption for the post-quantum computing age, because if a quantum computer can solve something in 5 minutes like this, no encryption will work, because literally encryption is just a defense against someone guessing the key. In computers, it would just take them too long. It will not take quantum computers that long.
Right. And the only other quantum computer I had seen was the IBM quantum computer, and I watched the whole video on that. And now I'll link in this Verge article. There's the kind of an inside look at Google's quantum AI lab. Just amazing. And one of the coolest things, if you're not familiar, like, these chips run so hot. Like, that's one of the issues with these like superposition chips, that there's this cooling system. Like, this whole image right here, if you're watching, is like the cooling system for a single chip, because they have to basically get it close to like 0 Kelvin.
Yep.
And they said it's colder than most parts of the universe. Like, even in the vacuum of space, they have to make it colder than that so these chips can actually run for periods of time. As it's just amazing. So anyway, Google's doing all that.
Well, one more thing about that. Sorry.
Go.
The real breakthrough, I just wanted to mention this, that they have done is the error correction on it. So it's like, what it's able to do is detect when it is made an error and correct that, which just speeds up like the computing exponentially. And so, like, I think that's the real breakthrough that Google has come up with. And so, because otherwise you can just imagine a computer that's that fast that makes a mistake and just continues spiraling down that, right? But this is able to like correct the errors that it's making. And so, yeah.
It would be like a quantum beach ball from a Mac. That would be, that's the black hole from Interstellar. Wait a minute.
There's so many connections here.
Wait a minute. It's all connected. But then you had an article talking about Soon Over Try. And I actually, because I want to hear this in depth, before you do that, I'll take just one more quick break and thank our wonderful sponsor who sponsored us the last 3 months, ending out 2024, which is our great friends at Audio Hijack. Listen, Audio Hijack. It is the Mac app you need to try today. We are using it right now, Jason and I, to record our own audio. I use it to record the audio for every video I do. It is an incredibly powerful application, easy to use, and you can do crazy things like add EQ and compressor to your audio stream. And I know it sounds complicated, but Audio Hijack is so easy to use. You literally just build these little blockchains. It's like a WYSIWYG editor, but for audio. They could take that tagline and run with it. It's WYSIWYG, but for audio. You could take the audio from the things, even applications like Safari or a web browser, and your USB mics and your audio interfaces. You could do all kinds of crazy stuff with it and then record it, even live stream it. And now they also have things like transcribe the audio live just while it's running through Audio Hijack. It's incredible for podcasting, for video. If you ever record audio on your Mac, you have to try Audio Hijack. They've been, again, I've just used them for years. Jason's used them for years. Rock solid software. Works amazingly well. Always super fast on like the OS updates too. Like they'll always like preempt and be like, listen, Mac OS Sequoia is coming out. We're getting ready for it. They'll be like, oh, we're good to go with before, they're always amazing at that. I absolutely love it. It's the first thing I install on any new Mac. So here's what you do. You go to macaudio.com/primarytech and use the promo code TechXX for 20% off, or you can get 20% off other bundles. So you can get Audio Hijack and Loopback, Audio Hijack and Farrago. They have a bunch of amazing apps. You should just go check them out. macaudio.com/primarytech. Use the coupon code TechXX, save 20%. A massive thank you to Paul and the team at Audio Hijack and Rogue Amoeba for making incredible apps that basically like I wouldn't be able to do what I do without them, and for sponsoring the show for 3 months. This has been a wonderful. And listen, if there's someone out there that wants to sponsor the show, reach out. 2025 is coming up, and so we are wide open. And honestly, a huge thank you to all of the members that support us directly through Memberful and Apple Podcasts. There's so many of you now, and we really appreciate that direct support as well. So with all the Google news, Google's also taking pot shots, firing at Microsoft. Jason, tell me about this article.
Well, okay, so the backstory on this is that Satya Nadella, who is Microsoft's CEO, was on the record saying that Google is the one who should have been the winner in the AI race, which is true, 100% true. Google had the top to bottom stack. They had the models. They developed a lot of this stuff. They had the distribution, and they just didn't. And the reason that they just didn't is because they make a ton of money from search. Like, that's the super short version of the story. Right. And they were just really apprehensive about putting out the stuff that just makes crap up. Like, that just doesn't seem like a good thing if you're like trying to organize the world information and make it useful to people. Right. This just makes up its own information. So that just seemed like a bad thing. So Microsoft made a point of Microsoft CEO made a point of like highlighting like Google should have won this and they didn't, right? And so
he said something like he wants to make Google dance. Like
so yes. He was on the record like, and not only does he want to make them dance, he wants everyone to know that they were the ones that made them dance. Right. So now these are two very like chill. At least their public personas are just very chill. Like very guy. Chill. Like so that was a real deep cut right there. And then it was like a week or two ago at the DealBook Summit, which is a thing the New York Times puts on with Andrew Ross Sorkin, who is a columnist at the New York Times, but also is a host on CNBC. He does this thing every year, brings in a bunch of people. This year he had Google CEO. He had, I think Bill Clinton was there. Sam Altman was there.
Downplaying AGI because he's
Jeff Bezos was there. Like anyway, did an hour-long interview with Bezos. Anyway, so he asks Sundar Pichai, who is Google's CEO, he says, "You guys were the originals when it came to AI. Where do you think you are relative to these other players, mostly Microsoft?" And he says, "I'd like to see a side-by-side comparison of their models and our models." And the reason he says that is because they don't have any models. Like Microsoft has some models, but they're terrible. They are using OpenAI's models, right? Like that's the point he's making is now really like sick burn. But the problem is it's also a self burn. And the reason is, the difference is, yes, you guys were the originals in AI. Yes, you have models. Yes, you have all this. But what you don't have is like a product that has whatever 300 million daily active users just out of nowhere, which is essentially what ChatGPT has. And so I think it's such an interesting interplay. You can tell that Google feels a lot of pressure, or he wouldn't have even said that, because Google has the distribution. They have billions and billions of users. There's no reason why they shouldn't be completely dominating in this, except for their decisions that they've made as a business.
Because they also have the mobile platform that's dominant around the world.
Yeah, they do make some software that you might have heard of called Android.
Android, the dominant browser, the dominant search engine, the dominant video platform, like creative, like they have so much dominant. That is wild. So tangentially related, at that DealBook Summit, Sam Altman spoke. He was kind of downplaying AGI, but I listened to the Decoder episode with the Microsoft AI CEO.
Yep.
And
Mustafa Suleyman, yep.
Yeah, and Eli was like, why you guys got 18 CEOs? Which I think was a valid question. But he was talking about, and Eli asked him the question, I guess one of these stipulations, because OpenAI and Microsoft have this deal, this partnership, and it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, that if OpenAI were to achieve artificial general intelligence, the AGI, that this deal with Microsoft could then, like, they could basically split in some way from their partnership with Microsoft. Is that accurate?
Okay. Well, we don't actually know all the terms, but that has been reported a bunch of times that if the original agreement was that, because again, OpenAI was meant to be a research lab in pursuit of safe AGI.
Non-profit.
Yes, safe AGI would benefit the world. And then they realized they can make a crap ton of money doing this, and then said, forget about that. Like, we don't care about the other part. We want to just make a bunch of money.
Right.
And there was talk that, like, okay, we need compute power, we need a partner, we need money. So they went to Microsoft, and part of the deal was, that's fine. You have a license to use all of this IP and all of these models until we get to AGI, and you don't get to use that. Now, It's been reported a lot that Sam Altman they're trying to move the goalposts on when they declare AGI so they can get out of it. But here's the thing. OpenAI is still going to need compute. And right now they get all of that on Azure, which is Microsoft, right? And most of the money that it's like $11 billion at this point that Microsoft has put into OpenAI is Azure credits, right? They didn't just write a check necessarily. I mean, they have given some money, but a lot of it is credits for Azure, and they're still going to need that. And it doesn't matter just saying we have AGI does not suddenly make you profitable. OpenAI is not profitable. Even if it can get a lot of people to sign up for a $200 a month service, the thing is that $200 a month service probably isn't any more profitable because of the compute power that's required for whatever they're giving people, especially the O1 Pro model. Yeah, it's ridiculous the amount of tokens that are required for that. So I think that's like less of a thing, because they could say we have AGI. The problem with, like, they may have a motivation to say, yeah, we've made it to AGI. And if you in the Decoder episode, he's like, the CEO of Microsoft AI was like, we could get there somewhere between 2 and 10 years. That's a very non-committal range, 2 to 10 years.
Well, that's something Sam Altman has said recently, that he believes we could reach AGI with current hardware, meaning like the NVIDIA chips and graphic cards that whatever everybody's using today could run AGI. And Nilay asked the Microsoft AI CEO that, and he was like, nah.
Right. Basically, he's like, his exact response is, what does current hardware mean? Well, what do you mean by current hardware?
What do you mean by,
He's like, we mean like on 4090s or whatever. But I think it's important to listen to what Sam Altman is saying in the context of he has to continue feeding the hype cycle, because that is what continues to attract investor money. That is the thing that is going to get them going. That is the thing that maybe will get them more customers. But right now, they're not even at the stage where, like, every business shifts from we have to do things that will get us investors, and then you have to shift to we have to do things that will get us customers. And those are not always the same thing. In fact, they're often not the same thing. And they're not even really at the point where they are not self-sufficient based on their customer base yet. They are still they're still dependent on investors, and so they have to continue the promise. It's hard to compare the two, but it's like a very similar thing that we see with someone like Elon Musk, where it's like full self-driving is coming next week. Next week. We'll have a fleet of robo-taxis by 2019 or whatever. It's just like continuous forward promises that keep people engaged. I think it's important to understand. I think it would be devastating to OpenAI if one day, the last day of the shipment Sam Altman comes out and he's like, actually, 01 Pro is AGI. Like, I don't think anyone would take him seriously.
No one would. And so I wanted to bring all that context because with Google talking about Gemini 2.0, it does feel like it is a tenuous relationship with OpenAI and Microsoft. I feel like that's obvious. Like you just hear Sam Altman and Microsoft talk, and it's like this is a partnership through necessity. Like they need each other right now. OpenAI needs the compute and the backing of Microsoft. Like Sundar Pichai might be saying Microsoft does not have the models, and so they need OpenAI doing that stuff. And so obviously it's a tenuous relationship. And so Sundar Pichai over here saying like we can, like this is us, we got this. Right. I do think heading into 2025, and this is the if when we get to our personal tech segment, if they can make Gemini to me and to more people as useful as ChatGPT, then I think they could have the opportunity to actually maybe move into that leading AI spot. And I say that because like if you think about AI today, we're in the tech bubble, but like users widely, if you say ChatGPT, most people will know what that is. Right. And they don't know OpenAI, but they know like, what is AI? Oh, ChatGPT. Like that's kind of the association. And so OpenAI has won this cycle of being associated with that kind of like Q-tip, Kleenex, whatever. You know what I mean? And so Google has lost that up until now. But if what Sundar Pichai is saying is right, I think they might still have an opportunity to change that around. It just needs to be easier to access and use. Like I don't use Gemini because honestly, I don't even know where to go right now to use it. I guess I go to Gemini.com. Is that even a thing?
Gemini.google.com will get you there. Or if you have the Google app on your phone, there's actually like a little tab at the top. So one of them is for Google search and the other one is for Gemini.
Okay.
But while you're trying to figure this out, let me just tell you the most. I don't know what that is.
This is Gemini.com.
That is
just
not
to
the
prove
website.
The point, they need to, however many millions of dollars they need to spend, they should get Gemini.com.
Yeah. That's
and then if I go to Gemini.google.com.
Yep, there you go.
Is that it? Okay.
That is it?
Yeah. But like I don't want to use this.
Okay, so but this is the most devastating thing. Although it's nice it says hello, Stephen. This is the most devastating thing and Google should pay very close attention to this. My 13-year-old on a very regular basis will say to me, because he's learning like code, he loves Scratch, he's doing all the things.
Yeah.
He wants to learn Python, but as he's building like games and stuff, like very simple stuff, obviously, he has stopped using Google. Like he does not. Right. It is useless to him. He uses ChatGPT constantly, and he does not have a ChatGPT account. He's just going to chat.com, typing things in, getting the little piece of information he needs, and going back over to his thing. Right. He doesn't use Google for anything anymore. And Google is like, this is the Facebook problem, right? Like Facebook has this problem where if you go to the Blue app, it's just people our age and older. Do you know? Like, I don't mean to go on a tangent, but do you know it is so weird nowadays if you get a friend request from someone on Facebook? Because one, you're like, you still use this, and two, it's like, if we aren't already like the window of time when it was socially acceptable to send a friend request to someone on Facebook, it ended like 10 years ago.
So true. I have not sent a friend request. Yeah, probably like 5
I have
years.
friends, people I like genuinely know in real life, and I would not send them a friend request on Facebook because it's the creepiest thing. Like there are some people where anyway. It's just the point is the same thing with Google. They are going to lose an entire generation of people for whom it no longer meets their needs. And it goes back to the thing you showed earlier. Like, I don't get the thing I need. I just see a bunch of weird random stuff. Like if I type in, how do I write this script in Python, which maybe that's not even a thing you should type. I don't even know anything about Python. And the thing you get is like a bunch of sponsored ads for Code Academy and whatever. Like I don't want to buy a course. I just need someone to give me this quick answer.
Right. And to your point too, my kids also, because they have it as a shortcut, have now defaulted to asking ChatGPT things, general knowledge, research, whatever. And so like they are winning right now, but we'll see. Maybe next year it'll be different. But anyway, all right, a lightning round. That's not usually a lightning round.
We can do it.
We're talking about the FBI messaging and warning about the encryption thing. Wait, I just clicked your headline and just reloaded the page. But anyway, tell me about the FBI thing.
Hopefully I get another click for that. But so thanks. Just keep doing that if you
I'll
don't
refresh
mind.
it again. Hold
Keep
on.
doing that if you would.
Refresh.
But my time on pages just went way down though. But that's okay. The bottom line to this is, the FBI has been warning people that they should be using encrypted messaging apps instead of just not, because of this Chinese hack called Salt Typhoon, where they basically infiltrated AT&T and Verizon and another company that I think makes technology for telecoms. That part is not as important. It seemed really interesting. Like, people made a big deal about how the FBI is warning people to use encryption, and at the same time, the FBI is super against encryption on devices because they want to be able to get into your stuff. And they have advocated on many times. I think it was Bill Barr, the Attorney General under Trump, but he's not the only Attorney General who's advocated this, to be clear. But he was very on record, like, tech companies should build in a back door to encryption so that we can get in if we need to get into it. And like, the argument they're making was like the San Bernardino shooter, right? Like, it's not like these are not sympathetic figures that they're trying to get into their phone. So objectively, the public is like, yeah, we think you should probably be able to get into that. And Apple's like, we can't. It's not that we won't. We just literally can't, because there's no way to do that. Encryption is encryption, and we don't have the key.
Right.
I found it really ironic that the way that the Salt Typhoon attack happened is because they just got through the back door that was built into the for wiretapping, right? There is a legal infrastructure in this company where government agents can wiretap people's conversations, right. And the attackers just went in the back door, and now they have all of this stuff, and it's like, this is why companies like Apple and Google are like, we're not building a back door, because if you make a back door for the good guys, anyone can get in the back door. And so I just found it extremely ironic, and it was hilarious to me. They're like,
the fail on that. All right, further lightning round. I just want to talk about smart glasses for half a second, because
amazing.
The Meta Ray-Bans, I chose poorly on my Black Friday self-purchase. I bought the Oura Ring 4 instead of the Meta Ray-Bans, and I've already returned the Oura Ring.
This feels like exactly the thing that Steven Robles would do. I think you should have kept it and put it on your desk next to the Rabbit R1 and the Humane AI pin.
I'm not keeping any more weird gadgets. I returned that Oura Ring. For some reason, listen, this is not a review of the Oura Ring, and I don't even know if this is related. But for some reason, I started waking up more often in the night while I was wearing it. I don't really think it was a comfort thing. I will say, when it's taking your heart rate or whatever, that green or red glow from your Apple Watch.
Yeah.
You see it on your finger. And for some reason, like, I saw it way more often in the middle of the night because, it's on your hand. And so I don't know what it was. I'm not going to make a video about it. But anyway, I returned the Oura Ring. And all that to say, I was between the Meta Ray-Bans and the Oura Ring on Black Friday, and I chose poorly. I should have gotten the Meta Ray-Bans. And now, I might still get them. But now the Air Go Vision is a pair of smart glasses. They look like the Ray-Bans, but not as cool. They have a camera, but these are powered by ChatGPT instead of Meta's AI. So if you wanted ChatGPT glasses, you could get it. The reason why I didn't get the Meta Ray-Bans, by the way, just to be clear, the prescription part of that was complicated. And people were like, oh, you just bring them to the optical outlets and get the lenses changed out. Like, you already lost me. Okay, I want to order it with my prescription, like I do my Warby Parkers right here. They haven't sponsored anything I've ever done, and yet people ask me all the time. Warby Parker, if you're listening,
right?
Sponsor. But anyway, it was too complicated, and I was like, I don't want to replace lenses. So I didn't get it. So if Meta ever does this thing that the Air Go Vision does, which is just let me put my prescription in when I order, so it actually arrives with my prescription in it, I will get the Meta Ray-Bans. But now they're also talking about there might be new Meta Ray-Bans next year, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll just wait.
Just so you know, you can just go to LensCrafters, buy the Meta Ray-Bans with prescription lenses.
Is it only LensCrafters, or is it where?
Well, LensCrafters is owned by Luxottica, which is who makes the frames, the Ray-Bans.
I also learned recently, I think it was on a Verge cast, where Luxottica owns like every.
That's what I'm saying. They own LensCrafters. They own like outlets, all of those. They own all. They own all the manufacturing and all the distribution.
What a cabal!
No, like literally, this is like De Beers with diamonds. It is LensCrafters. It's Luxottica. Yep, 100%.
That is, my word. That is wild. Anyway, and also Google might be making its own smart glasses, which, if you didn't know, real ones know about the Google Glass. This is not the first time. Although I guess this is different. This is pretty different. But that Project Astra inside Google, they might be making their own Google glasses. But not Google.
It is Google. It is saying something like it is a notch of pride. The Google Glass was the only thing still that was more is more notorious for wearing around than if you were to walk around with that Humane AI pen on all the time.
Or
right?
the Apple Vision Pro. But yeah.
People don't walk around in public with the Vision Pro.
Not anymore.
You would not look like a tech bro. You would just look like a YouTuber, which is fine because the people who would do that are okay with it. Yep, that's exactly why I'm doing this.
Yes. Are you first of all, we're both going to CES. I think it's the first time we're saying that live on the show. And I think we're going to record an episode at CES.
From the show floor.
Live from the show floor.
Steven's going to say that even if we're in a hotel room.
We're going to be in a hotel room.
But still. I bet you I'm gonna reach out because I'm sure that there are some podcast studios. I'll see what I can come up with.
I'm very excited. So anyway, we're both gonna be at CES. It's my first CES ever. I'm very excited. But 100% gonna wear the Apple Vision Pro on the plane. Jason, bring it on the plane and wear it.
Oh my gosh, I do have this little case.
You got all the cases. They sent you every accessory for the guy who never leaves the house with it.
That's true. I do have the best setup for traveling with something I never travel with. That's true.
I actually ordered that Belkin strap, but it's not going to come in till like maybe the beginning of January. So
really? Oh man, that thing is fantastic. Maybe I was actually I'm flying to Arizona tonight for our daughter's playing in the National League quarterfinals for her soccer team, and I was like, that would be the time I would wear it on a plane when I could embarrass my teenage daughter.
If that's what motivates you, do it.
That would be the time. But for CES, I could see bringing it. I feel like there would be other I could justify because it's CES and I could have right. So maybe I will do that.
We could be the two weirdos in Apple Vision Pros walking around to like the robot vacuum booths. This is my Belkin strap. It says order will be available soon. Hopefully I get it before CES. We'll see.
I would send you mine, but then I would stop using it because it is the best thing that has ever been made for the Vision Pro. It changes the game. Like it's ridiculous, but it is like so much better.
Well, I'm excited to try it. I'm excited to. I have to actually charge it so I can update it to Vision OS 2.2 because I want to try the ultra wide Max screen because everybody raves about that. But anyway, all right. Last thing before we get to personal tech, Apple listed its 2024 App Store Award winners, and there's a bunch of them on there, but well-deserved. The overall winner, Kino. Yep. Kino, the app by the makers of Halide, Lux Optics. Kino is their video recording app for pro video, where you can record ProRes to an external SSD. You can do 4K 120 now in their latest update, and they won App of the Year. And, Ben Sandowski and Sebastian DeWitt are behind the app, and I think well-deserved. That's awesome.
Yeah, I want to say, first of all, absolutely well-deserved. No one should take anything away from their win because they deserve that on the iPhone. I feel a little bit bad for them because they won. It's kind of like if you won the Super Bowl in a year when everyone else was not very good. Not that there weren't other good apps, but if you look at this list, like What If won the Apple Vision Pro App of the Year. I think it's the only Apple Vision Pro app that was released this year. And then Lightroom won the Mac App of the Year.
That is a little strange.
I don't understand. First of all, there's nothing different about it except for the AI denoise, which, by the way, is like life-changing. 100% the denoise, the AI-powered denoise, is maybe the best photo feature that's ever been. And I know we have a listener who works on Lightroom, so kudos to you. Awesome. I wish I could remember. I think it's Brian. So fantastic. But is it really the Mac App of the Year? I feel like it's like saying more about Mac apps.
They had to do it this year because next year it'll be Pixelmator Pro, but it'll be an Apple.
Oh, that's
honestly
that's true. They literally couldn't have picked okay, good point. I take it all back. Listen, Lightroom for the Mac, I use it every day. It's fantastic. I'm not saying anything, but I just feel like it doesn't, like all of these other ones are super interesting. Like some of them are like very boutique type apps and stuff. And then you have Adobe Lightroom.
I will say, What If? Did you try the What If app on Apple Vision Pro?
I actually have not.
It is pretty cool. That was the first time where I was like, you know what, this is a cool experience, and it was fun.
Was it better than the Gucci app? Because I still think the Gucci app. Maybe it's because the Gucci app was first that seems like.
The Gucci app was a great experience, but it's not interactive.
But you also don't care because it's just Gucci.
Well, I mean, you can pick up a purse and turn it around, but the What If app, you're shooting lasers out of your hand.
Like choose your own adventure.
Yeah, it feels very interactive, like half game, but it's not like pressure. You don't have to worry about dying in the game because it's more kind of a story. Anyway, I do think the What If app was really good.
The only thing I want the Apple to do with the Vision Pro is to make the Avengers Tower environment available as an environment. Why can't the environments within apps be available globally? That would be
nice.
killer.
That would be nice. Yeah, because Disney has a couple cool.
Yeah, I want to just be sitting there in Avengers Tower, clacking out my articles.
that would be pretty fun, actually. All right, for our personal tech, what AI are we actually using? You have Apple Intelligence, you have Gemini, you have Claude, Perplexity, and obviously OpenAI ChatGPT. Jason, I know you probably use image playgrounds daily, but what AI tools do you use on the rig?
The two I use every single day are Whisper, which is powered by OpenAI, right? And then ChatGPT. I use them on I changed my default search to ChatGPT.
Well, that's true.
Even beyond that, I use the Mac app like 35 times a day. Like I constantly am using it for different things. And I use the Whisper app to transcribe stuff like a lot. The only thing I don't like about the Whisper app is it doesn't do speaker identification, which is a really important thing for me if I'm looking through. Because a thing I do on a pretty regular basis is it's like, oh, there's this interview at DealBook Summit that I should cover, but I don't have time to watch all these things. I can't sit and watch the DealBook Summit for 9 hours or whatever. So it's like I will just, find a way to get the video and have it locally on my computer without doing any anyway. And then I just will dump that I used to just dump it into Otter, which was fantastic because it would label it and everything. Well, Whisper's way faster, but Whisper doesn't do speaker identification, which is kind of a bummer. So but go ahead.
Have you tried Transcriptionist?
I don't know what that is, so no.
It's actually from the maker of Ferrite, the podcast app.
Okay. Maybe I should try that. I just like Whisper because it's like really fast.
I actually haven't tried Whisper, to be honest, so I would have to try it to do it. But
it's really fast. It's one thing that's funny is like if you put something into OpenAI or to Otter, I like that you can then, and so I do this occasionally, but if I need something in a hurry, another thing I'll do is I'll take a transcript in Whisper and then I will just copy it into ChatGPT with a question.
Right.
Like, what was the highlight of this, or what did so and so say about this thing, or whatever it might be? Because sometimes you'll see an article and it'll be like, Bob Iger said that the next CEO of Disney is going to be Iron Man, Tony Stark. Or and you're like, wait, what was the context around that thing that he said? And I don't have time to watch a whole video or whatever. So that's sorry about that.
Your dog.
My dog. I know. I always try to pause when that happens so I can just anyway. So those are the two I use all the time.
Yeah.
Apple Intelligence. Not so much. I mean, I use it occasionally, but it is just there's not the Genmoji is probably the part of it that I use the most.
Yeah, I would say the only Apple Intelligence I've used is to summarize an article periodically. Like I'll be in Safari, and if it's really long, I'll pull down reader mode and see what the summary said. Sometimes it's useful, sometimes not. But my thing is, I don't want to disrupt all my workflows just to use a different AI tool. I was looking. Google Gemini has an app for iPhone, but there's no Mac app. And I will say, if they had a Mac app like ChatGPT, I might be more inclined to try it, because it would be easier to access and this is where I do all my work. But I use ChatGPT every day, mostly because I can integrate it into shortcuts, and that's where it is most useful to me.
Yeah.
And so I will do things like take a transcript from a video, go to the ChatGPT app and ask it for title ideas, description ideas. But more often, once we're done recording here, I've talked about it before, but I basically copy the tab group links. So I have all the articles we talked about. It formats show notes for me automatically. That's shortcuts. And then I can select multiple headlines, and it sends those articles to ChatGPT to generate a title and description, and then I massage it after that. And so that kind of integration where it can be part of automations that I use all the time makes it the most useful to me. And so I use ChatGPT probably every day. I use it the most integrated in shortcuts that I'm already using for things. And that's pretty much my use case. Apple Intelligence, no. Gemini, no. I tried Perplexity and Claude, and I'm just they don't integrate where I use stuff, and I don't want to pay for another one. So.
Yeah. And Claude is the models are supposed to be better, but the experience is not better. And so I just don't find myself using it very much. I'd be happy to. The Mac app is not as good, and it does weird things when I don't know. And a thing that I started doing just to sort of compare them is because my son keeps asking me questions about Python, and I don't know anything about Python. So I was like, give me a 5,000 word starter on how to get started with Python. Okay. And OpenAI did it, or ChatGPT did it and stuff. And Claude, though, was doing the whole thing, and then it stopped at about 1,800 words, and it's you've reached the maximum length. And I'm so here's the thing. fine if that's your maximum length. You should have formatted the article for 1,800 words, not just stopped. You were like writing me a 5,000 word and you just stopped at word 1,801.
Right.
It's in the middle of a sentence. Like it literally just stopped. And it's like, I don't know what to do with that.
That's not useful. That's not useful. So we'll see. Again, Gemini, maybe they pull it out next year. Okay, so we need to record a bonus episode. I need to tell my harrowing Tesla story about trying to take it on a road trip. And Jason's going to be so mad. So if you want to listen to bonus episodes, you can support the show directly at primarytech.fm. Click bonus episodes. And if you do it there, then you still get chapters, you get ad-free versions of every episode, and you get the whole bonus episodes, back catalog, and future. Or you can also support us on Apple Podcasts. You just don't get the chapters there anymore. That's an Apple Podcast thing, not me. We ranted about that a couple weeks ago. But anyway, support the show. You can hear the bonus episode, hear my harrowing Tesla story. And we'd appreciate a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts. You can get a shout-out at the top of the show. We'll have more debates that you could leave. Let us know if you use an AI tool in your 5-star review this week, if you'd like to do that. And you can, of course, watch the show and subscribe to our channel there at youtube.com/@primarytechshow, or just search for Primary Tech Show, and we come right up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.